All right, the Padres, they get the win over the Giants here in the series opener 5-1. And it wasn't just a good night because the Padres won, but also the Dodgers lost and the Arizona Diamondbacks lost as well. So the Padres, they gained ground on the Dodgers in the National League West, 4 games back now of the Dodgers. I would like it to get down to a couple of games for me to start really believing that, the division, or for me to think about the division, because I'm not thinking about that. I'm thinking about securing the first wild card spot. I respect what the Dodgers continue to be able to do, even with injuries. I mean, Gavin Stone just went down for them. As much as I hate the Dodgers, I still respect the talent that they have on that team. And it's just tough, because the Padres don't have a ton of direct matchups, head-to-head matchups with the Dodgers. It's one more series. So there's just not a lot of opportunity here with less than a month left to make up that ground when I assume the Dodgers are going to probably keep winning around at the same pace that the Padres will. And even if they don't, they still have a little bit of a cushion there over the Padres. But the good thing is that if we do get there, which is it's still a whiles away, but if we do get there, the Padres do have the tiebreaker because they have the season series. So that's just something to keep in the back of our heads. But a 5-1 win here today. And man, did they need Michael King's outing. I know he gave up that homer, but he did his job. He came up clutch as a starting pitcher can come up when you have Suarez, Adam, and Scott down, pitching for the last 5 days. They were not going to pitch today. All three of them probably wouldn't pitch tomorrow. Maybe one of them goes, a couple, but I don't know if they're going to go all three again. And so Michael King to go 6 innings, not 5, but give you 6 innings. He was very efficient in those first few innings. I was thinking in my mind when I was watching that, the weak grounders hit the second to bogey and just a nice easy flip to first. Like, man, this is like the Little League World Series where you've got a dominant pitcher on the mound who's just gassing everyone up. And those Little League hitters are like defeated walking up there to the plate. And now obviously I couldn't really see that. I was at the game, so I wasn't seeing the Giants batters' faces up close or anything. But it just felt like they were just trying to make contact. If they made contact, even if it was a weak grounder, it was like, yeah, I mean, at least I didn't strike out. Michael, he was just that dominant. So good job out of him. Only one walk, 8 punch outs. Obviously, only having one walk there, that really helped him be able to go deep because he did load the bases and he got out of that jam with the grounder, I believe. And then later, he gives up one run, but still is able to limit damage. So great job from him. And then the bullpen, Brian Hoeing and Adrian Morejon, Jeremiah Estrada. It was great to see Hoeing back. I mean, he had not pitched in a little bit. I think he had at least 5 days of rest. And I know that the Padres, they have a role for him, but I trust him as much as I trust really almost anyone in that bullpen. That might seem weird to say. I'm not saying that he, should go pitch the ninth inning, but he's had what, 2 clunker outings, and they haven't even been terrible. It's not like you give 4 runs in those outings. I don't think he did. Pretty much every outing, he's done whatever is asked, gone more than an inning, and so great job from him. And then Morejon, Estrada, it's the depth of this Padres bullpen. It's another one of those, tip your cap to AJ Preller and what he and his staff has been able to do this year with these acquisitions. You think of Morejon, that's how he's obviously been in the Padres organization for a while, but Estrada, you know, coming over from the Cubs, Hoeing, who was looked at as the throw-in in that Tanner Scott deal, obviously was not the headliner in that deal. Michael King, even today with the starter, the big starting pitching piece back in that Soto deal, and he has been the Padres' most consistent starter this season. And I know I've said, like, hey, in a wild card series, I'm probably going with Musgrove, Darvish, and Cease, and King in the bullpen. I mean, if the Padres were to go with Michael King, the way he is pitching, I'm not going to have like this strong argument to, to be against that. Right? Like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh man, that's the wrong decision. It's going to suck for whoever, doesn't get that start, right? But this is a good problem to have 4 guys, because Martin Perez, I don't think we throw him. He had a good start his last time out, obviously, but I'm not throwing him in that conversation. To have 4 guys, you have King, you have Cease, you have Darvish, and you have Musgrove. We'll see how Darvish progresses. But to have 4 names like that, I mean, I'm good with any of those guys pitching, assuming that Darvish, he can get up there in the innings and he can start having some good quality starts. Because Michael King can be a freaking weapon in that wild card series out of the bullpen in some type of role, or he could be really good in game 1 of a division series. But that's way down the road. Just great job for Michael King. It seems like he's doing really good at mixing his pitches. He's working quick. He's confident. Talk about confident. That's Jeremiah Estrada right now as well. He has that confidence back. I know that he kind of went through that little time there where there were some outings that it's like, ooh, is he losing confidence? Has the league started to kind of figure him out a little bit? But he has bounced back, and it's great. It's great to see because we know come postseason time, sure, you want to rely on 3 relievers, but you're gonna throw more than 3 relievers in the postseason. And Jeremiah Estrada is right up there as someone that you might want to give him the ball come that postseason time in, the 6th inning or something like that, based on a matchup. If a starter can't get through 6, you just want the fresh arm out there. But yeah, I mean, Estrada, he went through that patch there for, in mid-June, 4 earned runs, then no earned runs, but then an earned run, 2 earned runs. Gave up 3 earned runs on August 2nd against Colorado, gave up a couple earned runs at Miami, but he has been tremendous for this Padre. He has a 2.18 FIP. That was entering today. His ERA is higher than that, so he's actually been a little bit unlucky, comparing FIP and ERA. But great job from him tonight. And then Manny, obviously, what a freaking night he had with the 2 homers. He is now tied with Nate Colbert in the Padres' all-time home run list, passed Agon with his first homer, which is great. I was not I was alive, but I was not, watching every game and realizing what was going on, if that makes sense, when Agon was doing his thing for the Padres. And so really what I think of Agon, I think of him as the Dodger. I think of him as he is now on Dodgers television on that post-game show. So I'm happy that it's Manny that is ahead of him now. Not the biggest fan. But that's not because of playing reasons. I know that Padres ownership was much different back then when they ended up, trading him to the Red Sox. If Peter Seidler was the owner then, who knows what would have happened. Hopefully he would have, been a Padre for life, but obviously that's something that we can just talk about. It's in the past. But great job for Manny tonight. 3 for 4 day, 2 runs, 3 runs driven in. And when Manny goes, this team goes. It is a fact. Just go look at the numbers. Kevin Acee, I think, wrote about it in one of his newsletters this week. The Padres, they have a much better record when Manny is hot than they do when he is not. And it's not the NBA. It's not a one-player sport. But when Manny is going well, usually the vibes are good in that clubhouse, in that dugout, and other guys around him somehow they're clicking as well. They start clicking, or they already are clicking, and Manny adding on to that just makes you more deadly as a Padres offense, right? So great to see. He smacked that second ball. Holy cow. That bat flip that he had was great. And it's great that he's doing it against Bob Melvin and the Giants, right? What else did I want to hit on? Oh, the Merrill thing, obviously. The Merrill injury. So he stayed in the game late in the game. He fouls the ball off of his leg. And was it his right leg? I think it was his right because he's a lefty. But I saw someone tweet that it was his left leg. But that would be, I'm just trying to imagine him fouling a ball and it hitting the back leg of his stance. I think it was actually his right leg. But anyway, he was limping around, and clearly this was not a healthy Jackson Merrill, but he stayed in, struck out looking. It was 1 pitch after that. And then Tyler Wade goes in the game in center field, and this was before we knew what was going on. It's like, oh boy, here we go. This might be trouble. because Jackson Merrill, he's not someone that's just gonna be like, no, I'm good. I'm gonna just go sit this one out. No, this dude's a freaking competitor. He wants to stay in the game. And so it must have been hurting pretty bad for him not to be out there in center field. And there was the update post game. X-rays were negative. Padres say left patellar contusion for Merrill. So it doesn't seem like something's broken, because obviously, like, I mean, when he was walking around, I would be lying if I sat here and said that it wasn't in my mind of like, oh, how freaking serious is this? Is he going to be out for the rest of the season? What is this going to be here? Because he was just walking around and shaking that leg out, and he didn't swing. He made that step like before he got back in the box. He had a couple of those like loads, but he didn't actually swing the bat. So I'm like, oh, so he can't move the knee as well as he wants to. Is he just staying in for the at bat? Maybe so that the pitcher doesn't like have a mental advantage if they send Tyler Wade up there. Like, why? But he ends up leaving the game. Seems like it was precautionary, but Mike Schilt says day to day, which clearly, yeah, day to day. We know if Merrill goes on the IL, that would be a huge blow. I would be shocked if he went on the IL when it's September 6th and he's the competitor that he is. If he can go out there and swing, then he's going to be not on the IL. Maybe he won't be in the lineup tomorrow, but he's not going to be on the IL if I had to bet on that. So that sucked. That put a damper on the night. But overall, getting this win, Michael King's performance, Manny's performance, he had the bloop single as well in this game. Just the Padres continuing to take care of business. You're facing an under 500 team. The Dodgers lose, the D-backs lose. Go win that baseball game. You had the starting pitching advantage, obviously. You had Michael King on the mound, your most consistent guy, and you had Black with a 7.50 ERA on the mound on the other side. You go take that game. You got to take that baseball game, especially coming off of what happened yesterday with Suarez, and the Padres did it. So great job from the bullpen. Great job from a lot of guys. Bogey recently playing well. He had a gapper today. Really playing well in the total sample size since he came off the IL. So he continues to go. Arise with the hit early in this game. Tatis had a couple of hits, scored a couple of runs. And by the way, that first run that scored, I mean, that's baseball, huh? Tatis scores on a fly ball to right field. He tags, throw goes to third. They try to get Tatis, bad throw. Arise scores. Then Tatis comes all the way around to score. That's also like, obviously we can talk about Tatis's offense and what he can do on defense, but the threat that he is that David Peralta isn't on the base pass, right? Because David Peralta isn't going to do that. David Peralta is not going to scare, was it Matt Chapman at third that made that throw? Not going to scare the Giants there, right? Peralta may not tag on that play, but Tatis with his speed and who he is, he tags and forces the issue. Throw me out. I dare you. Try to throw me out. And look what happened. So that, in the postseason, any little error could cost you your season. And so for the Padres to have the guy that could force that error on their team, obviously, and to wreak havoc there on the base pass, that could be pretty darn huge come postseason time. So we'll see. But Padres, they get the win. They are now 81-62, and get your popcorn ready. Cease against Logan Webb tomorrow.